mic meets the matter.
Welcome to Where the Mic Meets the Matter. I'm Gerald Belcher, and I'm joined today by our UAW chairman and president at the Dearborn Stamping Plant, JHodges. What's up, Jeff?
What's going on, G?
How you doing, man?
Good.
Long time.
It's been a minute.
We've been trying to get back to doing these podcasts these informational podcasts for a long time, but we're finally able to do it. So we're going to walk through probably the most common question that comes up is about overtime, what the contract actually says, and how scheduling decisions are made. So let's jump right into it. What is the most common overtime question you get from your members?
And that's the hitter right there. A lot of people ask the reps when someone's not there, why didn't they schedule someone for overtime to cover that missing person? And I get where they're coming from with it, because we have a part of our overtime language that says for scheduled time off that leads to a known shortage, they're to schedule overtime. The problem comes in when someone's AWOL or just missing or took a FMLA. A lot of folks think it's scheduled time off, the same thing, but it's really not. AWOLs are not confined within the contract of how to cover it with overtime, just scheduled time off. And the reason for that would be to protect any classification that doesn't have an overenrollment, where they're not actually giving you a 10% replacement, things like team leaders or tag relief, operators, quality, stuff like that, where they're not really carrying an overage of people in case someone has scheduled time off. I got another one to plug in. They run it right to an RTO number.
Okay. So walk us through the RTO, what's required to operate.
Yeah, so the RTO is just short for required to operate, and you know how Ford loves acronyms. Say that you have a line that's got, a department's got 10 jobs. It's required to have 10 jobs. That's what it takes to run that. Now, at a 10% vacation cap coverage, you'd need one more person. So let's, for example, say that they overrolled that department by 2. So there's 12 people for 10 jobs, right? They might have a call off, they might have a vacation date that's scheduled. Until a known shortage due to scheduled time off, that could be a medical, one vacation. Now they've used their extra 2. If they give a third person a day off, they are now beyond their RTO. That's a known shortage, or they're below their RTO. That's a known shortage due to scheduled time off, and they're to use overtime to cover it. And just so I have to add this, we have that, the only language in the continental U.S. at a local with that.
Oh.
There's no other local with that.
Wow. Okay.
They come after it every single contract.
I bet. So just because someone is off, that doesn't automatically create overtime, right?
No. So another thing that we had them change, because it was quite a debate, after the fact call in. So something happened, got to take care of a family member, they're ill, something happened. They call in, they can use 60 hours after the fact. That's what it's called. Even though it's not really after the fact, you're calling in that day. It's just what they call it. But they call in, say, I'm going to take time off. The next shift comes in, they see that vacation or personal time on that person's drop, they automatically think it's a scheduled time off.
Gotcha.
Then they call the rep out there and they say, hey, that's scheduled time off. It did lead to a known shortage. Why wasn't it covered? So, for example, say it's a team leader. I don't have extra ones, right? Now we have them putting an 8 code on there. So you can see it was an after-the-fact call-in. It wasn't a known shortage. It wasn't pre-scheduled. But before then, it looked like it was pre-scheduled.
Oh, okay. So overtime basically tied to contract shortage definitions. Not simple whether it's not simple whether somebody's absent or not.
No.
Yeah.
In the beginning, back in the day, like when I first got there was 370-ish people in the building. They really kept the building as close to RTO as they could. There wasn't a lot of extra people per se around. So as you start adding jobs and as you start adding work, your numbers go up across the board. Plus you have to guarantee that you're running that product. You can't shut it down. We feed 5 plants. 4 of those 5 plants have their own stamping facilities. Think about that. I feed MAP. ISA is right across the street.
Right.
We can't shut those businesses down, or those plants try to take their dies back. So you start adding roll. You've got to start looking at the RTO versus on roll to see where your known shortages come in. And I'll give you an example. General population, which would be ATMWL, auto tender major weld line. That's when you come right in the building. You don't go to promotional bid. You go down and you're on general population. So take East, for example. At one time we had like 18 extra people for the department. So until 19 people had a vacation day, they were not in a known shortage status.
Gotcha. All right, we're going to move on to another part of this overtime fiasco. Members often ask, why is someone working overtime who already has more hours than I do?
Yeah, that's that's another hot topic.
Yeah. So what's happening there?
So what happens is the way we do our overtime is each Tuesday after a Monday, the OTE is ran. And that gives them time on Monday to close all their drots, charge all their charges, make sure everything's correct. Now in the twos system, you've got what's called an H719. That will run all of your overtime and show you who worked what, who refused, and what they charged. They take that same week and they canvass for next week's overtime. Now, if you have a process coach out there that's not doing it that way, canvassing this week for next week, and it's just a canvass, doesn't mean you're getting it or not getting it. It's just a canvass of what your intentions are. If it gets to you, we're ready.
Gotcha.
Now, next week comes up. Now you're working it. Well, by the time you start working it, say it's Saturday, the next Tuesday's R719 ran. So now the charges from the previous week is already there and people move. They go right to that list and say, hey, Gerald's higher in hours than me. Well, how's he working? So what I had Sam do was start posting up 2 lists. One list will say this is used on this date's weekend overtime. So if you're working this week, you're looking at your list for this week because it's already out. He has to post them. I had him put out a second one saying, well, in case this is questioned, look at the list. What date is it? There it is. There's the one on there that says the date. Look where you're at now.
Gotcha. Okay. I was going to ask that about the 2 lists. That's actually that's the posting change that you all made.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So, so I guess just to keep moving this thing forward, always check the OTE list. And then, that's actually used for scheduling, not just the newest posted version. So that's basically we take from that.
Right. And if you have questions that week about how did someone get to come into work and you're looking at that OTE from that week, just remember, look at the OTE that's posted next to it with the date saying used for this weekend.
Gotcha. Okay.
Then you can say, hey, I looked at that one and Gerald was higher than me. How did I get skipped?
Gotcha.
That absolutely has merit.
Makes sense. Makes a lot of sense. So let's move over to the shift versus weekend overtime. Members sometimes ask why another shift is working a weekend on their shift.
So in a building with a lot of tooling, you have what's called PE, which is maintenance. And sometimes maintenance gets into a system where they only can work a certain shift on the weekend.
Oh, okay.
So what I walked into back in 2010 was day shift wasn't getting a lot of overtime. It was always going to third shift. Come to find out in my research, PE was always working day shift on Saturday and Sunday. The company at that time took the stance of, I'm just going to let third shift work the overtime. Well, as I was talking to people out there on the floor, walking through and talking to them, speaking of what the issues were, those people told me I have to take my seniority after I finally got to days, bump to afternoons just to get some overtime. Then I found out these weren't mandatory. These were just voluntary overtime.
Wow.
So basically, in a nutshell, we own the right to our shift by seniority of our choosing. We bump it around to the base work week of that department of the shift we're on in that classification. So if I'm on a 5x8, for example, and I chose day shift, Monday through Friday for 40 hours, that's my base work week. I don't own Saturday or Sunday.
Gotcha.
That's not base. I'm not scheduled. I don't have to call in on Saturday and Sunday and say I'm not going to be there. I have to do that Monday through Friday. Now, if I say I'm going to work the weekend and I'm scheduled to work, I do have to call if I'm sick or something happens.
Right.
That's a little bit different, right?
Right.
But let's say there's no weekend scheduled this weekend. I don't have to call this weekend. It's not my base work week. I'm off. It's my RDO days, if you will, my regular days off.
Right.
So what happens is, again, let's say that PE says they're going to work third shift this weekend. We look at their schedule. They're doing some die maintenance. They're doing some work on the lines, whatever. All the overtime's got to be worked on days. The company, by the contract, has to equalize overtime between shifts. They must make a good attempt to equalize. If, say, third shift's the low shift, they're the first one to be asked for the weekend, that's an attempt to equalize.
Right.
Now, they might not all take it. I can't tell the company, on this voluntary weekend, here's the shift you must run. No, that falls under Article 4, Section 1. They have a right to run their business. They're going to say, no, if that's the way you want to do it, I'll just bring in that shift to work to overtime. And then we'll go back as a union and say, no, they're high hours. You've got to equalize.
Right.
You got to go to that low shift. So that's where you'll see a third shift coming in on a Saturday on day shift. Right? We tried to schedule it the best we can. Hey, third shift's low. Rob and Mark, our two bargainers, get ahead of the game and say, hey, let PE know that it looks like third shift's low. For example, right? Try to schedule around that and know that they try to keep them on their shift. And they do it as much as they can, but sometimes their hands are cuffed. They can't, they're waiting on some toolage to get in or some parts to get back or something. They're waiting on this contracted out to get back, something like that, right?
Okay.
And then it goes by theirs.
Wow. Okay.
They have equalization too. And
Right.
I don't know exactly how they run theirs in their contract, but I'm sure there's something to it. Make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. I get it. So there's this thing called super weekend. What exactly qualifies as a super weekend?
So that is in Volume 1, Appendix W. And if you look under Appendix W, 3 crew falls under Article 6. Under Article 6, that's your 3 crew operations. A crew is Monday through Thursday. B crew is Tuesday through Friday. C crew is Monday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Right? And I know a lot of people like to say Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Those are 2 separate pay weeks.
Yeah, they are.
C crew's first starting day is Monday.
Yep.
And their last day is Sunday. So under Appendix W, if you go down to Section 8 of overtime, you'll see where it specifically says B crew will belong to Saturday, and A crew belongs to Sunday, super weekends. Now, what a super means is you're running an entire department. And what I mean by that is if they come to bargaining, the company does, and says, hey, I got to run 2 lines in East Saturday. Well, that's not a full department.
Right.
That's not a super. So they'll come to them and say, and I've got all 3 shifts. Rob or Mark will say, hey, what's available? Are all 3 shifts available? What's PE doing? PE's not working. All right, well, B crew's your low crew. Do run it that night.
Right.
Or let's say A crew's your low crew. Run it during the day. If they can, they will. Right? But it's just volunteer. That's not a super.
Right.
So
Partial.
right, it's a partial. Some of the things that gets confused when we say it's not a super, people say, well, how do I get forced? Well, there's still an obligation to a number. They're going to ask for volunteers. Let's say they need 20 volunteers, and they get 15. They're going to say, well, I've got to force 5. Now, under that same Appendix W, there's rules to that. Before you go to forcing, you got to ask the off shifts if they want it first.
Gotcha.
Our contract also speaks to supplemental. People can sign supplemental work outside of their department. After you've exhausted the department, you go to supplemental.
Right.
All exhausted, you can force the next 5 lowest hour people.
Gotcha. Makes sense. So why is cross shift coverage sometimes necessary?
Well, that's for equalization by master agreement.
Okay.
If the UAW comes in and tells them that's something that we don't want done, we don't want you to cross shift that anymore, it will negate the language to the equalization between shifts. In the master agreement, if you read under all of the overtime language, at the very end, there's a sentence in there local agreement can deviate any of these foregoing rules.
Gotcha.
So if that local comes in there and tells that company, we're not going to do that no more, you just wiped out their reason, what do you call it? They must equalize. You've just their obligation to equalize. You've just nixed it.
Gotcha.
The UAW should never voluntarily nix anyone's overtime. That's not a thing.
Right. Well, you kind of took my lesson. So overtime must be equalized across shifts.
Yeah. So yep,
No
you
matter
were spot
what.
on with that one. and that's a good thing. That's the thing that. And just off to the side note with that real briefly, that's why I like these interviews with you. Mm-hmm. You tell me you're going to interview me about overtime. I write a bunch of stuff down and try to go through my head. Okay, all right. I know it through and through, but I never know what you're going to throw at me next, right? And you never know how far I'm going to go with it. It might lead into what you're going to ask me next. So it's pretty good.
Yeah. So let's clarify what bookend overtime is.
Yeah, so bookend overtime is the before and afters on your base work week.
Gotcha.
So let's go by 5 by 8 again, right? Or we can do A crew if you want to. So A crew is 5 hours before your shift and 5 hours after your shift. Now, a lot of people came to us because they used to ask for doubles right off rip. Why? Because it's easy for the company to schedule someone missing on no shortage.
Yeah.
It's easier for them to ask, hey, you want a double?
Yeah.
A lot of people think, hey, I don't feel safe doing a double. Yeah. Hey, in any kind of way, which legally it's not a legal standpoint, but they might have a feeling.
Right.
And then they came to us saying, I don't think it's right that people are being asked for a double right off rip. I would do a half. I would do 4 or 5 early and 5 after, but 10 before or 10, it's just too much, right?
Wow. Yeah.
So what we did is we went off of their resolutions and we put it in the contract that you must ask for the earlies and afters first. And what I mean by that, let's say you're low, and it's on your 4-hour day, your 4-day work week, 10 hours a day. They say, hey, we have a known shortage. Will you come in 4 early? Now you'll take all the 4 earlies, and it goes through all of your department, and it doesn't fill the 4 late. Now they'll come back to you first, right where they started. Do you want the 4 after? It's up to you.
Gotcha.
What we can't do, and this is also by resolution, is you be charged for all of that. If you refuse it, you're only going to be charged for the half, which is the 5 hours before or the 5 hours after. Right? Can't be charged for all of it unless you work it.
Gotcha.
Those that work it get charged all of it.
Gotcha.
Now, that leads you into the weekends where people are like, well, Jeff, they're asking for me for a double on the weekend. Weekends have nothing to do with bookends.
Gotcha.
They only have to do with your base work week. So each
work week.
case is different. 5 by 8s can be different than 4 by 10. That's going to be different than 3 by 12, 4 by 12.
Gotcha.
We have to look at the case and what's going on in that kind of department under that schedule.
Gotcha. My key takeaway, you did it again. So you just answered it before I asked it. So that's cool.
My bad.
That's okay. It's okay. I love it. It's all good. So can members be forced to work the weekend if they're not notified on time?
Yeah, that was another.
That's
good
a good one right there.
We had a member, and God bless him, still remember the date. He was old school, right? He came in TR2. They wanted him to work at TR1. He wanted nothing to do at TR1. I mean, old school back then, they would just flat out tell you, just take me off the clock. Well, then the first time this man in 42 years was being held on disciplinary actions for leaving the plant without permission on a weekend. So what we did was, after we got them off of stupid with that, we put it in the language that if you volunteer for work and in your classification in your department and you show up for work on that overtime and they say, hey man, that work's not available no more, I'm going to loan you to another department, you can leave.
Yeah.
And you're not going to be charged it.
Right.
That was not what you were asked for. It's not what you volunteered for. Right? We get this a lot too. Tag relief gets called, gets scheduled to come in on a Saturday. They have too many AWOLs. They're going to put them online. No, you're not going to put me online. I was canvassed for tag relief. I came and do tag entirely on that classification. They asked me for tag. I came in to do tag. You're not moving me. I'll go home. It's back into the members' hands now, where it used to be governed strictly by the company.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
Yep.
Wow. Okay. Well, you answered a lot of, yes, I have questions in front of me. I just
he writes them up to hit me.
I like to get them if I can, but I never get them.
I told him a few weeks ago, hey, I'm going to do this. I mentioned at a union meeting, we're going to do this overtime segment, and then we'll keep going into segments, and I'll ask the people at each meeting, hey, what segment would you like me to do next? And then I give it to Gerald, hey, I'm going to do one on overtime. Mm-hmm. You've been around a minute.
Yeah.
Get your answers ready. And I know he goes out, or get your questions ready, and I know he goes out there and he talks to some folks, what are you experiencing and all that stuff. Because I know you do your legwork.
Yeah, I do. I like to have fun with it. Kind of test the table a little bit, So late notice on those weekend notice. The late notice means cannot be forced, right?
Yes. So people came to us saying that they were coming. The company was coming to them and tell them on Friday, hey, you're up for the weekend, you got to work. Well, especially right now, if you volunteer for the weekend, it used to be just a double charge if you missed it, right?
Right.
And some people are like, listen, I got a baseball game with my kid. I got whatever with my kid. I'm going to have to eat that double charge. I can't do it. You told me too late. You're telling me on Friday I already scheduled this. Right? Now it's an AWOL. Mm-hmm. Right? So it really jeopardizes people's livelihoods with that being put into the mix.
Right.
And I get both sides of it. Someone accepted it. Someone else didn't get it. They didn't show up. Now someone's out to overtime that they could have had. So there's two sides to every coin, right? So what we did was we put it in the contract. If they don't notify you by one day before the last day of your work, you can't be forced it.
Gotcha.
Right? So, and they do these things too where they do a 1 week posting. If that posting says there's overtime opportunities, okay, if there's overtime opportunities. That means that it's not enforced. It isn't a guarantee.
Right.
And we can't say, well, you said it was. You have to work it, right? So we also have a contract clause that says, hey, you got to notify them at least 1 day in advance before the last day of their work. So like on a 5x8, they got to know by Thursday. On an A crew, they got to know by Wednesday.
Gotcha.
Or you're not going to be charged.
I was just about to ask.
Okay.
I really was.
Spot on.
That's perfect. Perfect timing on that, because that was when I was like, so if it was A crew, that would be by Wednesday. I gotcha. Okay. All right. So weekend force depends on timely notice.
Absolutely. And the people came to us. There was another plant. I can't say it right offhand. I can't remember it right offhand. I believe, it might have been Woodhaven. I'm talking to some of the leaders. They give me a lot of information from other plants, stuff that really, really worked good at those plants. I've had a couple of them bring me some contracts from other plants, and we try to merge it into our own contract each year.
Gotcha.
So it feels like this is a part of what I brought here from my plant. And if you will, it makes it feel more of their home too.
Gotcha.
Right, the bookend things. We got that for sure from Woodhaven, because it wasn't bookends, it was Fridays. If they had Friday off, they were excused for the weekend. You couldn't be forced. You had a vacation day, but you had to have it pre-scheduled. Couldn't call in after the fact. But if you had it pre-scheduled, right, we just went one step further. Friday or Monday.
Gotcha.
And for like A crew, that would be Thursday or Monday.
Gotcha. Yeah, I was going to go right into that, the whole vacation bookend protection. Yeah, so there is contract language that excuses members from mandatory or super weekend overtime, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, one of the first hitters for the mandatories, which would be crew, or traditional, your 5x8s, supers, which would be your crew patterns. There is language in there, you have to have this posted up a week in advance.
Gotcha.
But most of the time it'll say opportunities, because you've got to remember we feed 5 plants. It's very rare that all 5 plants are running all a Super Saturday.
Right.
That would bring everyone in on all shifts. So it's usually partials for us, right? Which is also why people, and maybe we'll get into that next segment, would be layoffs. Why isn't our whole building off when someone's off? That kind of thing.
That is a hot topic.
I'll bring it up at the meeting. Hey, that's what me and Gerald got into, and we were talking about maybe the next topic could be like layoffs and stuff.
Definitely. So I think I had, if the last or first day of the work week is scheduled vacation, force, that kind of goes back on that Friday and Monday.
Yeah. So we found that you only get a 10% usually. Some places will go a little bit over if they have more than 10% overenrollment. They can go a bit deeper into vacation times.
Gotcha.
Right. So if you have a department in a classification that's 10% overrolled, 10 jobs, 1 person. Only one's going to get it off.
Gotcha.
But if you got a department that's got 50 jobs with 65 people, 15 people could get it off.
Yeah, right.
If they had no medicals and no one, technically that could happen, right?
Yeah, right.
But usually when the larger the department you have, the more AWOLs you have,
Yeah.
the more everything compiles to a bit bigger, right?
Yeah.
So we just went with what Woodhaven had in their contract. If you had a scheduled vacation day, you couldn't be forced to a mandatory or a super on the weekend.
Right.
We just went one step further off that language because it's beautiful language.
Yeah.
And gave them the Monday too. Now, 20% instead of 10
Right.
has an avenue to be excused for the weekend.
Gotcha. Okay. The 10-day rule. Explain
Yes.
the 10-day overtime correction rule.
Yeah, so that's the grievance procedure. What we found was people would file a grievance, say January, February, or March, and they were skipped for overtime, right? Without having any kind of stipulation of how long this takes to correct, they have to zero out annually.
Oh.
So the company would have an entire year to say, hey, I've got the year to make that up in which Gerald was skipped.
Right.
Well, there's nobody out there wanting to wait a whole year to figure out at the end of the year if they were skipped for their 8-hour Saturday.
Right.
So what we did was we put it in the contract that the company has 10 days to offer you what they skipped you on, right? Now, there's different rules to this, and we found this out later on because and you'll see. Tell me if it matters or not. So, got skipped. Told your union rep I was skipped. They pulled it up. You sure were skipped. They go and write a grievance in the first stage. They tell the process coach your time's ticking. Here's what you did. They offer you, they got 10 days to fix that. Now let's say they fixed half of it. On the 11th day, you're owed the other half.
Right.
Let's say they fixed none of it. You're owed all of it. Let's say that they fixed all of it. Then you close it out. Hey, here's the dates. You put the dates on. You go back. Hey, Gerald, here it is. They offered you. We're good. What we also found out is some reps would go to the company. Gerald was forthcoming. Hey, they're skipping me. Jeff's coming in. He's higher than me. The union rep goes to that process coach. I just don't like Jeff. He ain't coming in. I just don't like Gerald. He ain't coming in.
Right.
Union rep saying, listen, that's belligerent.
Right.
You're doing it right now. There ain't going to be no 10-day rule.
Right.
I'm taking that to my boss. We ain't waiting. So come Monday, you're just giving them the free money. You ain't going to get 10 days to make this up.
Yeah.
And we've had those go through. Wow. We've had them go through to so much where labor would call those managers down saying, stop your people from doing that.
Yeah.
They have the fortitude and the rights for 10 days to make up their mistake. Knowing the member came to them before it, that's just belligerent.
Gotcha.
The union's giving you a chance to fix it before it even happened and you didn't.
Wow.
So we've had quite a few of those cases go through, and they're starting to slow down now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I bet they would. I mean, it's like, Yeah.
And the people told us
Right
in their
is right.
resolution, listen, I just want to be scheduled for my overtime correctly.
Yeah, right is right.
I just want to work my overtime and everything to go the right way.
Exactly.
They're not following the contract. Maybe I'm one of those people that get in their ass about everything that's right or wrong. I get it. I stay on them. Maybe I think it's about that. And how could I prove if someone being that way?
Right.
I can't prove it because it's a feeling, right? But if you told them before it happened and they still did it, that's a bigger problem.
Gotcha. We're going to kind of circle back. Well, you didn't talk about it, but we kind of hinted to it a little bit. The department overtime protection.
Yeah.
If a member volunteers for overtime and reports in, but is told to work in another department, what can they do?
Yeah, they can't force them to the other department. That person can go home. It's up to them. If they accept to go to the other department, they're still going to be charged for it.
Right.
What we also found the company would do is that, hey, I scheduled Gerald to come in to work in his classification. Didn't have no work for him. It got canceled. I didn't call him. He still came in and did that effort. Yeah, he was on time. So Gerald did his part.
Right.
But he gets there and there's overtime in another department. There's overtime outside of his classification. They would charge you because it was available. So we ended all that.
Wow.
That was a big resolution out of the East Department. And I think what was going on is a lot of them were volunteering upstairs, or upstairs was going from the department to department.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. Well, you pretty much answered all those questions. We're going.
Well, the other thing with that, though, the other thing we said about that charging thing where you don't get charged for outside your department work, you also don't bring that back with you, whether you volunteered or not and you did it. You'll get charged it on the supplemental list. So if you're ever on there, Sam's got a tracking of your hours.
Gotcha.
It's called non-chargeable hours to the department. What we found out was Remember when we were talking earlier about the equalization between shifts?
Yes.
And they go to the low-hour shift. Not the low-hour person, it's the low-hour shift. Because a person isn't a shift, they're on a shift.
Gotcha.
So that tells them, hey, I need 15 people. Who's the low-hour shift? I have to equalize overtime among shifts.
Right.
So now someone's volunteering from one department to the other because that department's burned out, they don't want it no more, and they keep going to the same person. And that person brought back that overtime to their department on their shift. One person could blow out a whole shift in a small unit, in a small department.
Very true.
Now, all those other people that don't want to work out of their department, but know that Gerald does, and Gerald's bringing it back, what kind of attitude are they getting towards Gerald? Hey, dude, quit working that overtime. You're blowing out our shift.
Right.
So we ended that.
Gotcha.
Right. And again, it was through multiple resolutions saying, hey, I shouldn't be charged for work outside my classification, work outside of my department.
Right.
Right.
That
and so
part.
we fixed those things due to those membership resolutions, what they want to see in those contracts.
That's awesome.
And we found that ended
it stopped
all that blowout from
Yeah.
that.
That's good. That's good.
And it's really good. If you just take the time to read what they're saying and suggesting to you,
Yeah.
and it's not monetary to the company. Charging overtime, they just want the people to work what they want them to work.
Right.
Charging and how it brings it back and all that and how it's blown out. Fixing that absolutely help the members, help their shift, help their department, and help the process coach and them from equalizing and figuring out how they got to do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Think about that. How
Yeah.
could I equalize to another department's overtime? I have no control of their overtime.
No.
So those people's resolutions, excuse me,
That's okay.
just made sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just straight up sense.
Yeah. That's perfect. Well, we're going to close out. And before we wrap up, what is the one thing members should remember about overtime rules and scheduling?
Yeah, so there's a few things to that, not just one. There's a lot of times team leaders will call us up and say that the process coach wants me to canvas for overtime. And they don't want to do that. Contractually, they're correct. That's a supervisor's job. It's not a team leader's job.
That part.
And if people are skipped, you're actually putting that team leader in jeopardy if he or she missed somebody. They could be on break. They could have went home on FMLA. Something could happen. They could have been loaned out.
Yeah.
That team leader can't go track them down. They have their own job to do.
Yeah.
So we put it in the contract that's supervisor's job to canvas for overtime. Now, some of the team leaders do it for their team. If they willingly do it, they're grown adults.
Yeah.
I ain't gonna stop them from what they're willing to do.
Right.
Right?
Right.
But they can't be held accountable to any infractions of that scheduling,
Gotcha.
of that canvas.
Gotcha.
I don't care if the supervisor tells me, hey, I had Gerald do that canvassing, he did it wrong.
Right.
No, that's you.
Yeah.
So what you're culpable of, you let that leader do it, and they messed it up, it's on
It's
you
on
because
them.
it was your job.
Absolutely.
Don't pass the buck to someone else.
Right. Absolutely.
And a few other things. There's other reasons that you can't be charged, like military duty, bereavement, forced layoff. That's another question that comes up. Hey, I took a layoff. How did I get charged? You volunteered for the layoff.
yeah. Yep. The temporary layoff.
So had you not volunteered, you'd have been here for that overtime.
Right.
It got to you, you got charged. If the company forces you to a layoff, that's a totally different story. It's out of your hands.
Yeah.
You were told you're laid off.
Right.
So we have that in the contract also.
Okay.
And again, that came from resolutions over the years where we're just making things better to what the people want.
Some great resolutions. People are actually thinking about the other person, the other member. Everybody's,
You
put 'em
just got to listen to them.
in. Yeah. Got those little blue boxes around the whole plant. Yeah.
I know a lot of people, well, not a lot, I know some people get this feeling that people are all about themselves, and I just don't think that's true.
No.
I don't want to believe that. I'm not gonna. A lot of the stuff that I read, I've been doing this a long time. A lot of stuff I've read, I've never read any what we call Mimi clauses. I've never read any resolutions that was just about Mimi. I had a lot of seniority people that I've seen write resolutions that people without post-retirement health care should get it, that people without fixed defined pensions should have that option. A lot of seniority people that have those. And that's just looking out for your brother or sister.
Absolutely.
A lot of these overtime issues were people that don't even accept that overtime.
Yeah.
They don't even work it, but they seen how their shift was getting blown out. They seen how their coworkers were getting upset about it, and they wrote those resolutions. Sometimes they'll come down to my office and sit there and talk about the different things that we could do to make it better. Right? And I listen to it.
Yeah.
I work for you.
It's bad. Yeah.
If you want it, I'm going to go get it.
Yeah.
If I can, I'm going to get it.
Yeah, it helps.
Yeah.
It helps. The bottom line is to get, that's why it's called a resolution, to get it resolved, and get to the bottom of why it happened in the first place, or why it's happening, or how can we fix it.
No, absolutely, and I can't thank the membership more. Everything that we've got in our contract now is, I would say, 90% from resolutions from them. 90% from those team
That's a
leaders and
lot.
some of those people bringing me the contracts. And it wasn't just team leaders. I had some people from MPNL at Woodhaven that was bargainers in the past, and they brought me their contracts, and we sat down. Mike Lewis was one of them.
Oh, yeah.
Tackett was another one. Walked me through a lot of stuff. And anything I had questions on of what they did better, not like our rack repair and stuff, he told me all about it. Mike Lewis told me all about their processes they had over there, and they had a lot of good things going on, and how we could make it a melting pot. People that came from MAP told me about the stuff that they had going on over there. So we do listen, and they do talk about the other members more so than themselves.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
Well, I tell you what, this has been extremely helpful and clarifying. Overtime rules can feel confusing, but contract language, contract language brings a lot of clarity. Thank you for breaking it down, and we definitely looking forward to doing more of these informationals coming up soon. We like to thank I have to thank my brother Kelly Holmes for allowing us to use his studio, and
in my notes, I only had a couple things that I thought you were going to hit me on. I'm like, man, he went deep with these ones.
Yeah.
So look, there was nothing I could even get on them ones,
Yeah,
right?
see?
And so I just, hey, man, I was ready.
Yeah,
I thought
you
I
ready.
could line you up, too. And I'm like, nah, you got me again. But, hey, they're great questions, like always.
thank you.
I love the fact that you do your homework. I love the fact that you go ask people about it.
Yeah.
And I know you've been doing it a long time. And some of your stuff that you wrote in resolution, stuff that came from your building, stuff that came from your past, really, really worked well. And just like your resolutions. And I know you don't like to pat yourself on the back. I know you, right? But I do appreciate the stuff you do. You're always about them. Yeah. You're like, hey, dude, we need to do another podcast. A lot of overtime stuff's coming up. We got a lot of new people coming in. They're going to be asking. And you're right on cue.
Yeah. And we got a lot more to come, too. So we're going to get ready, y'all. We're going to be flooding your timelines with videos and podcasts and all that good stuff. So, again, thank you for joining me today. This is where the mic meets the matter. I had another name, but
I like it.
Yeah, this is actually
and see, just like
fitting.
that. That's a new one too. I'm like, I like
he didn't
that.
even know. He didn't know it.
Yeah.
I think the other one was talk to talk.
Talk to talk.
Talk to talk. So
when you announced that, I'm like, that's different. Oh, I like that.
Yeah, where the mic meets the matter. So that's what's
you
happening.
told me the last time you were thinking about it.
Yep. So we're all set, man. Thanks, Jeff.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate you.
All right.
Where the mic meets the matter.